Hi, students. For those of you that are choosing to do the research paper that is the photo analysis, I'm going to do an overview of that photo analysis paper so that hopefully you will have a clearer understanding of the structure and how to structure your paper. All right, so let's talk about, oh, I wrote this kind of, I don't know, uneven, but hopefully it'll work, right? So intro. So let's talk about what to do in the introduction. So the first thing you should do for this photo analysis in the introduction is you need to summarize the photo. So summarize the photograph. How do you summarize a photograph? I'm going to tell you that right now. First of all, give the title of the photograph. Okay, so this can be its official title, or if it is well known as something other than the official title, that could also work. For example, there is a famous photo that some of you may have come across if you're trying to decide what photo to do. That's become known as Napalm Girl. But it had a different title. Now the official title is escaping me, but that's what it is known as, and it's a photo that was taken during the Vietnam War of some children running from a village that had been bombed by, it was actually their own site. It was like a friendly fire type of situation, is my understanding. But at any rate, it had been bombed, and the the heat was so intense that the children and there was like a grandmother and people like running, and the heat was so intense that it was like it had burned this little child's clothing off, and so it had a different title, but it became known as Napalm Girl. So you can, whatever works in that regard. If it is well known as a name other than its official title, if it has become well known in that way, that's okay. You can do that, or you can give the official title, but you need some kind of a title, and the photo has to have been published somewhere in a journal or a book or a newspaper or something like this. What I mean by that, it can't be a photo that you personally just like took. I mean, if it's been published, that's okay. Talk to me, okay, about that. That would be unique. But that it's, well, even so, because it wouldn't be historical. It's got to be historical. So it's been published, and it's historically significant in some way. So not just family photos normally, but I mean, again, if you have there's a historical connection there, then that might work. So let me know if you have questions there, if there's a gray area. But basically, what I'm trying to say is give the title of the photo, all right? So give the title in your introduction and describe it. Describe the photo, all right? So describe the photo. So you've had a couple of exercises on how to look at a photo, historical photo, and what to look for, and some questions to ask yourself, and all that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that that was helpful to kind of get you in the mode of this. But you want to describe the photo. So you're going to give the title of the photo. Oh, give the title and the photographer's full name. Full name. So, for example, the photo we used in the exercise, Migrant Mother, right? And that was taken by Dorothea Lange. So we would give her full name, Dorothea Lange, right? Not just Dorothea, right? Dorothea Lange. So give their full name. When you refer to the photographer a second or third or any subsequent times, you use the person's last name, not their first name. So Dorothea Lange would be on the first reference. Other references would just be Lange, okay, not Dorothea. It sounds like you guys are buddies, right? And it's just too informal. So last name, you want to go with that, all right? So if you want to be super formal, you can go with Ms. or Mr. I mean, the New York Times does that, so you can't go wrong, right? So if you want to say Ms. Lange or Miss Lange or something like that's okay. We'll give you that either way, but not first name after the first reference when you give their full name, okay? So you are going to summarize my meaning, describe the photo, all right? So, and along with the title of the photo and the photographer's full name. So that's number one. That's layer number one. Here we go. English lasagna coming up. All right. So now you are going to both explain your idea, the idea that you are working with. You need to have a big idea for this so that's going to turn into your thesis, but the idea or issue that you're working with, and you need to explain the controversy. What I mean by that is both sides. So you are going to explain both sides, okay? So whatever the idea is that you're working with, you will explain both sides. So before you start like writing this paper, you've got to pick a photo first, right? So otherwise this would be very super confusing. So you got to center in on which one you're going to work with. So focus on the photo. You can't do just like 3 or 4 photos, really. I mean, oh, there is probably a circumstance you could do that, but it's unique. So talk to me about that. But otherwise, you want to have one photo. And so you've got your photo, and then I would do a brainstorm on what all the different issues you might consider working with the photo, and then pick one. Whatever you think, wow, that one's the most exciting to me, or that's what I have the most to say about, or like for example, maybe I'm going to give that migrant mother example because we've all seen it, and when you did the homework assignment, it was right there, so we all know what migrant mother looks like. So you might have like a brainstorm, different ideas might be, the Great Depression, or the plight of farm workers during the Great Depression, or difficulty of migration into California at that time, where folks migrating from other states were really not welcomed, right? So, I mean, that sort of thing. Or, I mean, that's just all coming to mind. Whatever the issues are, right? Write them down and pick one. Pick what you would like to work with, right? All right, and then explain the issue, but explain whatever the controversy is. Why would people have different ideas about this, right? I'm going to say something. I mean, like if I was going to say about farm workers, that maybe I have an idea that this photo really raised awareness about the plight of farm workers during the 1930s, right? Maybe there is a flip side to that. There are some differing accounts of Lang's, whether this was, how she went up setting up the photo, if like it raised awareness, but on the other hand, the subject didn't really want to be part of raising awareness, that could be controversial. There's a flip side to everything. So is not coming to me. I'm sorry. But so whatever the controversy is, two sides of the issue. Why would someone disagree with your idea, right? And then you want to transition to your thesis. Okay, so transition to the thesis. This is where you start explaining your idea before your thesis. Explaining your big idea before your thesis. So I gave this example. I just did the example on the documentary response. I'm going to give the same example because I'm just sort of still thinking about that. That if you were having someone come to your house, again, it's a pre-COVID example, but if you're having someone come to your house and they're standing in your driveway and you want them to come to your front door, there needs to be some kind of a path for them to get from the driveway to the front door, right? So you're not going to normally have them like they have a pogo stick and they just jump, bing, I'm at your front door now, right? So no, not normally, right? So maybe you would even go out and greet them and lead them to your front door. Well, that's what you want to do with your writing. So you want to lead them from, you're explaining both sides of this issue, and then you lead them from the driveway, so to speak, to the front door. So you're leading them from that to your thesis. You lead them. So you explain the thesis before the thesis. You're connecting the dots. You're going from this point to this point, and you're making that connection. So how many sentences, you might ask, right? So the summary, I would say 2 to 3 sentences, although it could be 4. Explaining your idea, and with the controversy, I'd say another 2 to 3 sentences. Transition to the thesis, probably 1 to 2 sentences. It could be 3, it depends on how you craft it. And then your thesis statement is 1 sentence. In your thesis, I would also put the title of the title of the photo back in. So I'm going to put title include. So, for example, in the photograph, migrant mother taken by Dorothea Lange, blah, 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 whatever my idea is, right? But so here's one way to think about it. As far as to formulate your thesis, you want the title of the photo. It can help to have the photographer's name again too, but it's not a requirement, but it is to have the title. Title of photo, issue, and your idea about it. Title, issue, idea. Title, issue, idea. If you have those 3 components, you probably have a clear thesis. All right. So that's 1 sentence. So again, you probably have like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 to 9 sentences for your intro. That would work. All right. So that's kind of how to build your introduction for this. And again, your thesis, I do want to say this, really make a point of this. In the research paper, something that can go awry is that we start, let's say we're working with migrant mother, all right? So we're researching all these facts and quotes, and oh great, I got a great quote by Dorothea Lange here, and I got these facts about, whatever, something else about migrant mother here, and it could easily become, instead of a research paper with a governing idea, which is your thesis, it could easily become a report, which is like, I have my report on migrant mother, and here are my facts, here's this, and this. There is value to that, but that's not what this assignment is. So this is a paper. This is an essay. So you must have a thesis, which is your big idea. So I just did a video for the documentary response overview, so I'm going to give you the same example that I gave in that one because it has popped into my head. So, and if I've given this before, bear with me. I think it applies. And if I haven't, well, it's new. So if you have ever seen the PBS children's show Clifford the Big Red Dog. How many of you have seen Clifford, right? Or read the books, right? When I was growing up, I just read the books, right? And if, for those of you who don't know, Clifford is a really big dog. He's like a giant dog, right? And he's red. He's this big red dog, and he has a little girl owner named Emily. All right, so in the PBS show, Clifford the Big Red Dog, that's the cartoon, they will have this feature that is Clifford's big idea. So he's a big dog and he has a big idea, his big idea of the day, right? So his big idea of the day might be like sharing or something like that, right? And then each they'll have typically like more than one little episode in the same show for that day. So they might have one episode on Clifford sharing his toys or something like that. Maybe the next episode is also about sharing, but it's how Emily shares her toys with her friends or something, right? The big idea is sharing. 2 different aspects of sharing are presented in the episodes, right? That's that same day because it's the big idea for the day. So all the little segments have to support the big idea of the day. So your thesis is your big dog idea, all right? It's your big dog idea, your big idea. And then the body paragraphs have to support that big idea. So they could be reasons that you think what you think or arguing for what you're arguing for in your thesis, or they could be a smaller aspect of that, right? Think about Clifford and sharing, different aspects of sharing, right? So whatever your big idea is on for your paper, different aspects of that big idea, one aspect per paragraph, and that could help. All right. So that's the intro, and then we're also going to talk about how to build the body paragraph. So again, I just want to reiterate, we're doing our layering still. So we're going to summarize the photo first, meaning describe it, give the title of the photo, give the photographer's full name, describe what you see, right, in the photo, especially as it pertains to your main point, right? Especially, you don't have to describe every, grain that you see, but give an overview of it, and especially as it pertains to your main point, explain your idea / issue, whatever the one you're going to focus on. Explain the controversy, both sides. Why do people disagree about that? Then transition to your thesis. You want that transition point that you are explaining the thesis before the thesis, right? You want a direct line of connection between here and here. You don't want an awkward jump. For example, you don't want to just explain both sides. Here's my overview. Here's my issue. I'm going to explain both sides, and then boom, here's my thesis. It feels like, whoa, didn't see that one coming, right? It shouldn't feel like that to the reader. It should be smooth, like a smooth transition. Again, leading, right? No pogo sticks here. All right. So, and then we're going to wrap it up with that thesis. And next we are going to talk about building the body paragraphs.